Hello, this is Brian Reindl, your literacy and life coach, coming to you as the weather gets warmer and it's about summertime, and I want to share with you some books I've been reading over the last 5 months that have really made a difference in my life, and I want to tell you about them to see if they might be helpful to you. And this is my dog Jane sitting right next to me. We're out on the screen porch in our backyard on this sunny, warm Sunday afternoon. You know, Fontes and Pinnell in their writing talk about how book talks are important for students, and they serve several purposes. And one is, when you give a book talk about a book that's in your classroom, you might spark interest in that book with your students. They might be interested in reading it, and that's really your goal, right? To motivate students and get them interested in reading. And you might introduce them to new texts that maybe have been sitting in your classroom library but haven't been looked at or read by students. And so you might introduce them to some of those books. You might talk about who the title, the author is, show the cover, you know these things. Read aloud a little section that might be interesting or exciting that you want the students to hear. Help connect with their lives, or give a brief synopsis of what the book is about. And share your response. What did you like about the book? So, with that in mind, the first book I wanted to share with you today was a Tony Robbins book, Awaken the Giant Within. And I use my tablet and I read with Kindle, so I don't have a great cover to show you. But I wanted to share this book first because it made a big impact on me. Before I started to read, I was skeptical. I thought, oh, Tony Robbins, you know, he's out to make money. What can I really learn from him? Well, you know what? I already had a self-limiting belief about rich people, that rich people are there just to get richer, and they're rich because they take advantage of people. That is not the case with this book, and it's something I've worked through in reading this book, is that self-limiting belief or judgment about people who do have wealth in their lives. So, the subtitle of this book is How to Take Immediate Control of Your Mental, Emotional, Physical, and Financial Destiny, Tony Robbins. And a couple key things that I wanted to share with you. First off, he starts off by saying how everything is a decision. And you know what? You may think you're not making a decision, but you are, because when you don't make decisions, you're letting the environment, the world, make decisions for you. So we need to decide, he says, who we are and what we're committed to in life, and what are we going to do to get there. So I'd recommend this book to anyone who wants to increase their quality of life. And you also have to be committed to doing the work. And that's really the thing with all of the books I'm sharing with you. I did not read them in one fell swoop. What I would do is read a small section and then reflect on it. Many of you may have been seeing my Facebook posts. I post every day on what I've read and how I try to apply it to my life. You need to do the work, and Tony Robbins has great work to do within the text. So getting through this book is pretty long. It's going to take time, because you're not just reading it, you're applying it, you're really studying it and helping it make a difference in your life. I have so many highlights here I could read for you. You can go to Amazon or any other bookstore and take a look at some reviews, some samples from the book. The next book I wanted to share with you is a totally different kind of book, but yet some of the themes are the same, and it's called The Untethered Soul, and it's by Michael Singer. I've never read a book quite like this. It's pretty deep. And he starts off by saying, there is nothing more important to true growth than realizing that you are not the voice of your mind. You are the one who hears it. Realizing you are not that voice in your mind. Your mind runs incessantly. It's the way it's designed, right? But we can be the person, the soul, that is watching the mind, controlling the mind. And really understanding that is the key to our emotional growth. And then he goes into lots of things about fear. For example, if you fear death, you're not living life, you're living your mind. Death is a great teacher for us. other things that I struggle with. For example, attaching emotions to events and things that have happened in my life. And we can let these emotions get caught inside of us and not work through us. We need to let them work through us in order that we can continue to move on. And let me share a bookmark or two. I just want a quick pull up here for you. Let's see. A couple of thoughts for you. As long as we are defining what you like and what you don't like, you'll open and close. You're actually defining your limits. You're allowing your mind to create triggers that open and close you. Let go of that. Dare to be different. Enjoy all of life. And then I think there was one or two thoughts towards the end. Ultimately, we identify more with spirit rather than the mind, as that is what we truly are. Let go of your belief that God is a judgmental God. God is all-loving. And I want to read then from the last paragraph of the book. Contemplate this and let go of the idea of a judgmental God. You have a loving God. In truth, you have love itself for a God, and love cannot do other than love. Your God is in ecstasy, and there's nothing you can do about it. And if God is in ecstasy, I wonder what he sees when he looks at you. Deep stuff. It'll take you a while to work through it, but I really enjoyed this book. And then I switched gears, and I went to the Motivational Manifesto from Brendan Burchard, the Motivation Manifesto. Let's see if I can get a picture of the cover for you to see. Cover. There we go. It's a little black book. If you were to buy it, it's more like a little journal. It's short, but the Motivation Manifesto is really about helping us not live a mediocre life. So I want to read from the first page here. Let's get to the first page. Flip through the beginnings here. Listen to this. There comes a time in the lives of those destined for greatness when we must stand before the mirror of meaning and ask, why, having been endowed with the courageous heart of a lion, do we live as mice? We must look squarely into our own tired eyes and examine why we waste so much time sniffing at every distraction, why we cower at the thought of revealing our true selves to the world, why we scurry so quickly from conflict, and why we consent to play small. And so what he goes on to do is kind of take the idea of the Declaration of Independence and all of that formal language that's with it and translate it into nine declarations of independence, how to become your own person. And he speaks with great passion. If you can watch his videos on YouTube and download his podcast, very inspirational, very exciting. Next, I wanted to share with you the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. You know, that book's been around 20 years. And what's really interesting is I was reading the references, I was thinking about how people reading it today who are really young probably wouldn't get some of the references, but I remembered a lot of the things because it was from when I was growing up. But the idea of this book is not about pop psychology, it's about the principles that we can apply to our life, principles that are universal and that have been around a long time. And he takes us through the 7 habits and moving us from living a life of dependence on what others think, dependence on the approval of others, to being independent. The first 3 habits are about turning us to become independent people. It covers, the first 3 habits are all about our personal victories and being committed to ourselves. And then the next 3 habits move us from independence, being our own person, to interdependence, an even higher level. And he calls this our public victories, where we learn how to be interdependent with each other, not independent. And how we will be much more of a person if we connect with other people. And the last habit, habit 7, I actually didn't get to habit 7. I'm going to return to the book, but it's about renewal of ourselves physically, spiritually, socially, and mentally. The reason I took a little break from that book is I just started just now a book called Tender Warrior. I was alerted to that book by a friend, by a coach, my coach, and it's by Stu Weber. The reason I wanted to take up this book right away was I was dealing with figuring out who I am as a male in our society, tender warrior. And what he does is he defines 4 pillars of manhood. You need to be king, warrior, mentor, and friend. It's about the timelessness of being a man and it takes it from a biblical perspective, from creation till now. Fascinating so far. Just getting started. I'll have to report on that another time. So let's link it up. Book talks for your students, getting them motivated, excited, interested in reading books. My goal for you today was to talk about some books that were recommended to me, that I found interesting, that I wanted to talk with you about. Check them out. Apply, do the work. You're going to have to take time to go through, write in your journal as you're reading. When there's times for you to stop and reflect, you do that kind of work. I've read these books before and I just fly through and nothing happens to change my life. If you want them to change your life, you have to do the work. Until next time we talk, have a great life, and remember, great educators have great mindsets, gems, great educator mindsets. Take care.